Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, before we get into the video, let me just give you guys a big shout out to everybody who watched who joined me last night for the Canelo Alvarez versus Sergey Kovalev live fight reaction. We had well over 50,000 people, so it was the most successful live fight reaction I ever had, and I just can't say enough positive about that. So just thank you guys who made that night really fun for me, and hopefully I made your night fun as well. But I had a chance to finally go back and watch this fight by myself. No interruptions, no being live, no commotion, no emotional attachment to a fighter, because obviously I was rooting for Kovalev, but I didn't really see a ton of things different. Now there were a couple things different I saw, and I'll get to that in the video, but I'll say this, and I have to establish this before we move forward. I really didn't see much of a difference from Sergey Kovalev as to how he fought this fight versus when he fought Anthony Yarde. He fought pretty much the same fight. He didn't really throw the right hand. He was very tentative to throw the right hand. He didn't want to throw the right hand because he didn't want to risk getting countered. And that's actually something that, if you watch my videos about Kovalev, I highlighted this. I highlighted this about him when he fought Anthony Yarde, the fact that he didn't allow Anthony Yarde to counterpunch him back, and he's been fighting more disciplined off the jab. Now, while it was a positive for him and it worked for him in the Anthony Yarde fight, it actually worked against him in the Canelo Alvarez fight, because Canelo Alvarez is a shorter fighter, a more experienced fighter, and a much better fighter. And it's almost like in basketball. Like, for those of you who watch basketball, you guys may have heard that saying. When you have a basketball team that's really good at shooting 3-pointers, and that's all they do. They have the saying in basketball: you live by the three, you die by the three. Well, in Kovalev's case, it's one of those rare cases in boxing that you can say, you live by the jab, you die by the jab. Because Canelo Alvarez, it's a known fact that he fights in spurts. It's a known fact that Kovalev was the bigger man, and if he was gonna really inflict some sort of damage on Canelo, it was gonna have to come in the first half of the fight. And if you go back and you watch the first half of the fight, like, I give Kovalev all the credit in the world. He fought a disciplined fight, and he didn't give Canelo too many opportunities to counterpunch him. So that's why he didn't throw the right hand. But his his inability to make Canelo respect him, it might have got him some rounds early with his jab. Him fighting discipline, it might have got him some rounds early, put those rounds in the bank early. But ultimately, that was one of the things that costed him this fight, was the fact that he didn't really give Canelo too much to worry about in terms of right hands and things like that. So I just wanted to say that, like, there's not much of a difference between how he fought this fight versus the Anthony Yarde fight. The difference was just the fighter across the ring in Canelo Alvarez. Now, from the Canelo side of things, he was getting outboxed for the majority of the fight. That is worth noting. I think when I watched it, when I was live on YouTube for it, I thought Kovalev was up 7 rounds to 3 before the knockdowns, but I could see 6 to 4 for Kovalev. But even when he was winning rounds, and I want to highlight this, even when he was winning rounds, Canelo Alvarez was still making his presence known. There was plenty of rounds that Kovalev won early in the fight, where even when he was out jabbing and scoring shots against Canelo, Canelo was able to step in with that jab and land it with conviction, and he made his presence known. There were pockets of time in the early rounds where Canelo Alvarez, but every now and then he would dig to the body. And more importantly, one thing that Canelo did really well in this fight, particularly in the early to middle rounds, is being the smaller guy. Distance, range, these things are very important. And if you looked at his feet, Canelo Alvarez would keep his foot either on line or on the outside of Kovalev for the majority of those early rounds. But when it came time to step in with a jab, or when his foot came on the inside of Kovalev's, he's jabbing immediately. He's getting off first, and he's making Kovalev react to him. And even when he's pressing forward, it's kind of like Gennady Golovkin in a way, where you're making the opponent work, but you're not really wasting a lot of movement yourself. So he made Kovalev work early. He was content to trade in the early rounds and make Kovalev work and test that stamina for the big payoff in the 10th round, in the 11th round. And I gotta give Buddy McCurd credit, because to be honest with you, I think he's gotten the most you could possibly get out of Sergey Kovalev at this point in his career, because as much as I like him and as disciplined as he is as a fighter, because I don't think he's ever been as disciplined as a fighter than he is now, Buddy McGirt. You know, I just think, you know, he's not the crusher anymore, and it kind of sucks, because I think if Buddy McGirt would have started working with Kovalev, let's say 5 years ago, you know, he might be a much different fighter right now. He might be a much better fighter, but that's not the case. You know, it's not the case. So there's only so much that you can learn in the span of 2 or 3 training camps, and I thought he got a great tune out of Kovalev. But unfortunately for him, you know, he just didn't really, he didn't give Canelo much to worry about, you know, in terms of hurting him. And he did it in the first 6 rounds. And, you know, Demetrius Boo Andrade, he had a tweet, and he said that the way this fight was fought, it reminded him of when you're in the gym. For those of you who have never been in a boxing gym, normally when you get a smaller fighter and he wants to get some sparring or rounds in with a bigger fighter, like a much bigger fighter, they'll just move around the ring and they'll throw punches, and they won't throw punches to hurt each other, but like they just move around, you know, they just move around, they work, but it's light work, you know, nobody's really going there to hurt the other person, and that's and you know what, like Andrade said that, or Andrade said that, and I could see it, you know. I mean, personally for me, I was just in the boxing gym the other day, and I was the smaller fighter working with the bigger fighter, and we were moving around the ring, and I'm like, shit, like the intensity of this fight, or the lack of intensity of this fight within the first half, you know, was really, it was kind of reminiscent of that. So, you know, I could definitely see why people are saying that, but to the people that are saying this fight was rigged or it's fixed, like, look, I'm not gonna slate you. I'm not going to say that you're wrong, because I feel like there's plenty of signs and things that point to so it's like corruption happening, to where you could say that. But you got to look at, if you're saying this fight was fixed, then, you know, I have to really question if you really paid attention to the Anthony Yarde Kovalev fight, because Kovalev didn't fight much different. He didn't fight much different. I mean, go back and watch it. I'm not tripping. He might have thrown a couple more right hands, because Anthony Yarde is not as defensively sound or as skilled as Canelo. But in terms of not having a lot of right hands or throwing a lot of right hands, it was pretty much the same fight. It just, the difference in this fight, from fight to fight, the difference was the guy on the other side of the ring. So, you know, as much as I don't like Canelo and I want to see him get beat, to be honest with you, like, you got to give him credit. He showed poise. He was confident in his game plan. You know, he mentally broke down Kovalev, because if you watch that 11th round, right, the early stages of that 11th round, you know, there were like, I'm going to say about a minute before the knockout, he had Kovalev on the ropes, and he hit him with a vicious, like, straight right hand, snapped Kovalev's head back. You know, early in that round, Kovalev tried to clinch Canelo. Canelo threw an uppercut that grazed him, and from that point forward, after that clinch, you know, Kovalev didn't want to clinch Canelo, because he knew that if he clinched Canelo was going to throw an uppercut or a straight right, which he had also hit Kovalev with a couple of times out of a clinch. He just knew that if he clinched Canelo, that there was going to be inside work that maybe he wasn't prepared to deal with at that point in the fight. So early on in that 11th round, you saw Kovalev mentally broken down, and the pressure, all the rounds that had accumulated over time, where Canelo had made Kovalev work, where he had put the pressure on him, where he had made him, you know, expend more energy than he wanted to. It all paid off in that 11th round, where he got Kovalev on the left side of the ring towards the ropes. Kovalev kind of, he went to his left. Canelo followed him, hit him with the left hook. You know, Kovalev's legs did the chicken dance, reminiscent of the Andre Ward fight, when Ward hit with the straight right hand. And then when he had him hurt, he finished him, and the right hand came after the left hook, and that was all she wrote. And Canelo Alvarez is light heavyweight champion of the world, the WBO light heavyweight champion of the world. So, listen, I give Canelo the credit, because he does deserve it. He showed great boxing IQ in this fight. He showed the ability to stick to his game plan. He showed the ability to, even when he lost rounds, still be a presence in the ring, beating Kovalev to the spot in many cases in the early rounds, to land his jab. You know, counter punched him. You know, anytime Kovalev, there were times where Kovalev would work and throw punches, and sometimes he would give up his size, and when he gave up his size, once he gave up his size and bended his knees a bit more, when he pulled out to go back, Canelo would throw that hook, and he would touch him or clip him on his face or on his chin, and these things added up over time, and Canelo understood that, which is why he stayed so poised and stayed so composed in his game plan. And you know, I'm a Kovalev fan, as you guys can see by the shirt on my wall, but you know, at this point in his career, we gotta be real. Like, Buddy McGirt has gotten the most you could possibly get out of him, and I just don't see how he's gonna get better. You know, he said after the fight that he was tired. He tired after 6 rounds, but I mean, let's be honest and let's be objective here. Kovalev's been getting tired after the 6th round since the first Andre Ward fight, so this is not a new thing with him. You know, his stamina isn't what it once was. His punch resistance is not what it once was, and quite frankly, he's not gonna get any better. So. Listen, you had a great career. I still think he's a Hall of Famer. I think he's someone that is worthy of praise, worthy of respect, because he was outboxing Canelo. And he's had some really unfortunate things happen to him in his career. Maybe he's had a bit of hard luck in the big fights, you know, getting robbed against Andre Ward in the first fight, having a questionable stoppage in the second fight with Andre Ward. And now Canelo just not being the fighter he once was. So, you know, there's a lot of things we could say about this fight, but I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna give Canelo his credit. You know, it was a great performance from him. It was great boxing IQ by him, and hopefully he can go back down to middleweight and fight a guy like Demetrius Boo-Andre, because that's a fight I really want to see. I don't think it'll happen, but it's one I want to see. With that being said, you guys let me know what you think. You know, about Kovalev, Canelo. If you had a chance to rewatch it, give me your observations down below. Those are just some of mine after their you know, after the fight, you know, not having to watch it for myself. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. Kovalev, Canelo, rewatch in the comments down below. Take the time to subscribe, like I say in every single one of these videos. You can love me or you can hate me. But I'm just a kid from Dane. So until next time, take care, guys.